Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to Daily Current Affairs Initiative. We will discuss today's current affairs, that is 21st February. Before going into the detailed discussion, let's see what are all the articles we have. We fortunately have very less articles today. But anyway, there are two important articles, I would say. Forest Act 1980 as well as Money Bill. These are all issue based. These two are issue based. Which need a little bit more extensive explanation. So we will take a little bit more time over these two articles, and rest of the articles are very short in nature. So in factual basis we will see these things. It won't take too much time. Only these two articles we will be discussing more. So Forest Act 1980, which recently Supreme Court has pronounced, we will see what actually the act is, what are the provisions, and then what is Supreme Court pronouncement related to the Forest Act 1980, right? And what is the present condition, what government is going to take care. In this Money Bill, you all know this is very, very important, a financial matter of the government. We will see what is Money Bill and then what is Finance Bill Type 1 and 2. Type 1 and 2. Many students keep up coming with the doubts related to the finance bills. I would say this is one of the most confusing topic in the Indian polity. There are three type of bills: Money Bill, Finance Bill Type 1 and then Finance Bill Type 2. Even in civil services last year 2023, there was a question related to the Finance Bill as well as the Money Bill. You will see in most of the exams, you will see the questions related to the Money Bill. We will have a very detailed explanation what is the difference, what is the provisions under the Money Bill. Then Article 142 of Indian Constitution related to the judiciary, we will see very briefly. This article is very short one, so no need of too much time. And the same with Skill India Center. Yesterday only, the first Indian Skill India Center was launched in Odisha. That is also very important, a factual one. And then there are some changes in National Film Awards. Recently, a few days back, and this was reported by the Indian Express paper. We will see what actually is National Film Awards, who is giving this, what is the motto behind that. Then we will go to the changes that has been made by the government, right? So we will take the static part as well as the current changes that has been brought. That's how we are preparing the current affairs, that we are taking the static part, what is the existing condition, and then we are discussing the changes that has happened recent time. Then we will have 2 or 3 factual points, and then finally we will solve them. We will solve some practice questions as well, right? So let's start the session without delay. I hope you are ready for today's session, and if you have any doubts, you can always ask here in the comment section, right? Yeah. So let's start the first article for today, Forest Conservation Act 1980. So there is an act already existing which was passed by the parliament. That's why it is an act which was passed in 1980. But why it is there in news for today? That's why that is the context. Let's understand. Supreme Court has directed all the governments, including the state governments as well as the central government, that don't use or misuse the forest definition. There is no practical definition given in any of the statutes. The definition of forest is not mentioned in any of the acts in the Indian Parliament. So they have said that, the Supreme Court has said that, take the definition of forest from dictionary. Why you are making your own subjective interpretation? Just take the definition of forest from the dictionary itself. They have said that, make it more holistic. And we have already told, we means here Supreme Court, they have already pronounced the judgment which is in T.N. Godavarman case. So whenever you file some case in the Supreme Court, your name, whoever has filed the case, will be mentioned the same on this case itself. So there is a Godavarman case of 1996 in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has already said that definition of forest should be very generic. It should include everything, like which is mentioned in the what you call dictionary. But what has happened? Governments, they are interpreting their own and they are conducting a lot of commercial activities. We are losing the forests. That's why Supreme Court once again reinterpreted or re-established the same thing, that you need to take the general case of definition with related to the forest. So this was pronounced yesterday only. Supreme Court has said this, that take the definition of forest in generic. In yesterday, in the case of Ashok Kumar Sharma, who is a retired forest service versus Union of India. So these are the two parties that this person has filed a petition in the Supreme Court against the Union government related to the changes made in Forest Act of 1980. There was an amendment in 2022. So before here, there were some changes in this act made by the central government or parliament, I would say, right? So they have made changes, and these changes were not liked by the certain individuals, and he has filed the case that these are amendments which are against the nature of the forest conservation. So this person has filed, and the Supreme Court has said that you need to take the general case of forest definition. That is the issue, that is the context. Now we need to know the provisions of Forest Act 1980. I hope you are following, right? So here let's take what actually is Forest Act 1980. What are the provisions? We will discuss, and you will come to know that there is a certain theme under the Forest Act of 1980, right? So here the act, the 1980 Act mandates that any diversion of forest land, forests are very, very important, isn't it? So any diversion of forest lands for non-forest purposes, that means what? Any commercial activities, any construction, any tourism. So any forest land, if you want to convert it to the normal non-forest land, you need to take permission from the central government. Without approval, no state governments, no forest land should be converted into the normal land, right? So this is the provision that was mentioned in the act. You need to take permission before converting the forest land into non-forest land. That is one provision, very important one. Try to understand what I am saying, so you will know certain thing about the act. And then the act also requires, okay fine, you have taken the permission from central government, that's fine, but even after taking permission, you need to pay the compensation for the loss of forest. Whatever the value, economic value, that will be determined by the committees, government. There is certain mechanisms, you don't need to worry about it. But whatever the forest land that you have converted has to be compensated with your payment, right? So if I'm a company, Reliance, I'm taking some project in the forest and government has approved it, but I need to pay the compensation for the forest land. Even after getting permission, you need to pay a certain amount. That is the second provision. And then it also mandates that whenever central government is taking the decision, giving permission to convert the forest land to non-forest land, they need to consult state governments as well as tribal communities who are residing in the forest area. Without taking consultation from these two parties will not be accepted. Supreme Court will quash the order of the central government. So they need to take permission from state government as well as tribal communities, right, before constructing the project. These are the three provisions. Very important. They will ask you what are all the provisions that are mentioned in the act, and then few more provisions are there which are relevant for our exam. You are paying compensation. Beyond that, you need to also create a forest land. Whatever the land which is not in forest, you need to select those land and you need to convert into the forest land for your compensation. You are shifting the forest land to the non-forest land. Now you need to take the same reverse manner, that non-forest land has to be converted into the forest land. This is also one more provision mentioned in the act. Also, one more very critical thing is that the act mentions about the deemed forest. Deemed here means similar to. They are not actual forest, but they are similar to forest. Okay, they are not part of forest yet, but they are similarly having some ecologically sensitive regions. So they seems to be similar to the forest. So here they have mentioned, they have defined it, where the areas which are similar to the forest, those areas also you cannot convert into the normal commercial land. Forest you have to take permission. For this deemed forest which are similar to forest also has to take the same provisions which we have discussed earlier, right? So these are all the provisions under that. After seeing all these provisions, what you are able to conclude? Can anyone answer this? After discussing all these things, what you understand from this act? Right? Anyone? So what we understood from the act is that the act is trying to protect the forest land or trying to maintain the forest land that is existing in the Indian subcontinent. They are not allowing to convert it to the non-forest land for commercial activities. That's what the intention of the act, isn't it? Now we will see how government has changed these provisions and then have violated the Forest Conservation Act, the basic objective of the Forest Conservation Act, right? So we have understood the provisions. Now let's understand the background now. What has happened before Supreme Court announcing this particular thing? What has happened? Let's understand the background related to the forest. Here there is no concrete definition of forest definition in our Indian law. There is no clear definition, nationally accepted definition, which is clearly mentioned in the Statutory Act. For example, who is children? It is clearly mentioned in the Juvenile Justice Act. And what actually is wildlife? It is clearly mentioned in the Wildlife Protection Act. But the definition of forest is completely absent from our statutory books. That is one thing you need to keep this thing in mind. Similarly, states are responsible for determining the definition of the forest. See, who is determining the definition of forest? State governments are defining it. There is no statute first thing, and then state governments have the power to define the forest area. This is one more thing. So because of this discretion, whatever the states want to develop, create employment, and they want to achieve growth, they are converting the forest. They were just simply defining which are not hindering them to take the development activities. They are defining their own definitions. Different states defining their own definitions. So in this background, after doing all these things, Supreme Court in 1996 has said that forest does not mean only those definitions that you are saying, but whatever the greenery, whatever the ecological fragile regions, all the things will be part of forest. So when Supreme Court is pronouncing certain things, everyone has to follow it. That is the constitutional mandate, right? So Supreme Court has already said that everything that comes under the greenery will be part of the forest, right? Under the areas, the dictionary meaning has to be taken. Dictionary meaning means it is very generic, so everything comes under the forest, whatever the greenery in nature, right? So this is the background. There is no definition. State governments are doing their own definitions, and Supreme Court has come up with this particular pronouncement in 1996. Now, what the amendments? Why the government has changed? What the government has changed in 2023? They have changed certain provisions under Forest Act of 1980. There is already a Forest Act in 1980, and they have changed. What changes we have seen, what changes they have made, we will see here. Now you will understand the intention of Supreme Court. They have reduced the legal protection for many forests. So they have, in 1980 we have seen the provisions which are very strict. They need to take permission, what are all the things they have to do and all. Now they have changed that the forest area is not everything. Only those protected under 1927 Forest Act. In British times, there was already a Forest Act of 1927. Only certain areas were defined. So they are saying that forest means only those areas, not all the greenery ones. So just they are very small in nature. We are just saying that only those areas defined under this act comes under the forest. Similarly, those provisions which are called forest is only applicable after 1980. The Act of Forest came in 1980. So whatever the changes that has given by this act, provisions given by this act, only applicable after 1980. Whatever the things that has been done before 1980, they are not forest. That's what they have said. Similarly, they have facilitated the economic activities in the forest regions. Usually 1980 Forest Act is completely hindering these things. Now they have changed and said that we can facilitate economic activities such as tourism, safari, so that economy will grow. This provision was added under the act. Similarly, government also allowed itself to construct some security measures in the border areas. We have forest in Arunachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. These are all in the borders of international with China, Pakistan and different regions. So they are saying that within 100 kilometers of the border, we can construct the security measures in infrastructure and all. So indirectly what is happening? Forest areas are being destructed. So this provision also was added by the government in 2023. Similarly, requirement of tribal consent. So we have discussed this. Whenever the central government is taking measure, they need to consult the state governments as well as the tribals. Then only they can take the project. This was also removed. That tribal consent is not required for certain provisions. So that was also removed. So here what happened in 2023 provisions? They have reduced the strictness. They have changed and to create the economic development and destructing it will lead to the destruction of forest. So this was filed by the person that forest areas are being destructed with the changes that was made by the amendment. That's why a person reached to the Supreme Court and said that this is against the provisions of the act or the theme or the objective of the act. So what is now, what happens now? Supreme Court has pronounced, and they said that they have time until March 31. So today is February 21, so they approximately have 1 month. They need to give proper comprehensive record related to the forest in those states. Each state has to mention it clearly what are all the forests according to the definition interpreted by the Supreme Court. And central government environment ministry has to finalize this by April 15. That's what the Supreme Court has pronounced. Okay. So this is the issue related to the Forest Act 1980 and the Supreme Court pronouncement. So what we have seen here, what is Supreme Court pronouncement, why it has asked to define forest in a liberal manner, this is the context, and we have seen the important provisions of 1980, the strict provisions. After that, we have seen the background with regard to the absence of forest definition across the states, and then we have seen the recent changes by the central government to enhance the development which may lead to the destruction of forest. And finally, what the Supreme Court has given the deadline, right? So this is about the recent issue on Forest Act of 1980. I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts, you can ask here. Now we are moving to the next and very important article, the money bill. Right? So every year, whatever the exam you write, you will see the question on money bill or finance bill. I'm sure for that. Okay. So we will see first the context, why the money bill is in news. Supreme Court has seen the recent changes that were making on, including the electoral bond scheme and then Aadhaar bill of 2018. So Supreme Court has said that let's see what actually is money bill. Why there is an issue with regard to the money bill. There was a lot of discussion on this across the medias. So it has asked what constitutes the money bill. We will check this, we will consider this and then pronounce the judgment in the coming days. So Supreme Court is going to consider the definition of the money bill in the coming days. That's why it is there in news from Indian Express. Now let's understand what is money bill. We will also see what is finance bill type 1 and then finance bill type 2. But before that, we will see what actually is money bill. The name itself suggests it is related to the financial things, and bill means obviously it is related to the legislature, that is parliament or state legislatures. So money bill is nothing but any type of legislation, that is the permission. Legislation means government need to take the permission from the parliament. That's why they will put forward the bill and they will take the approval and accordingly they will pass the act, right, or bill. Finally it becomes the act. So money bill is a legislation that relates to the appropriation of money from the Consolidated Fund of India. So Consolidated Fund of India means whatever the government is getting money, whether in terms of taxes, non-taxes, fees, fines, whatever central government or state governments are getting money, they will keep all these things under Consolidated Fund of India. They will save all the money in Consolidated Fund of India, right? That is fine. But whenever they are taking out the money, so for example, you are saving some money in your bank, and you are not a person who is independent. That means you are still preparing. You need to take permission from your parents, isn't it? They will ask you if you are taking money. Similarly, Constitution has given or put an obligation on the governments that whenever you are taking money from Consolidated Fund of India, you need to take permission from the parliament, right? So government is taking permission from parliament. Government means only ruling party. Parliament means we have opposition also. So everyone will come to know. So the Consolidated Fund of India, whenever government want to take money from it, they need to take permission from the parliament through a bill that is called as an appropriation bill. Appropriation, what is the meaning of appropriation the general meaning of appropriation? It means allocation of money to different ministries. Taking money is different. Just taking some amount of money is different. Appropriation means after taking money, you are allocating to the different ministries. That is called as an appropriation. For different allocation to the ministries, you need to take permission from the parliament, right? So that is the money bill. It is typically related to the financial matters of the government, but not all the financial matters, only specific financial matters. We will see what are those specific financial matters. This is very, very important provision. That's why we are discussing in details. I can just simply discuss a brief note on money bill and I can go to the next article. But why we are discussing it, this is a very important and the questions will be come in a little bit more depth, right? So money bills, we also seen that it is related to the financial matters of the government. It can be taxation, expenditure, but not all the financial matters. That's why Constitution has clearly mentioned under the Article 110. So money bill is related, clearly defined under Article 110. They have said what constitutes the money bill. Constitution itself has clearly mentioned why you are misusing it. Supreme Court will ask this to the central government. Constitution has clearly mentioned what are all the finance bill constituents of. So it states that any bill can be money bill if certain conditions, certain provisions are satisfying. What are those provisions? That also mentioned by the Constitution only. So that we will see in the coming slide. So money bill means any bill which will constitute the certain provisions. These provisions are very important, right? So that's why I have taken all the provisions mentioned in the Constitution. We will discuss one by one. These are all the provisions given under Article 110 to define money bill. What is money bill is clearly mentioned here. If you are following, so this information useful for TSP. Yes, Ganesh, this is very useful for all the state PSC exams. You can see the previous questions. And whenever you are writing exams like Group 1 and Civil Services, so you will have to write the answer, not only answer the objective questions in the preliminary exam, you need to write the answers as well. For that, this is very, very important, right? So this sessions that we are conducting is useful for all the exams. It is not just for civil service or engineering services exam. It can be helpful for all the exams. We are discussing the issues and then we are connecting to the facts as well, right? So we are conducting it on daily basis, except on Sundays. You can follow regularly, which will be helpful for you, right? So now we are discussing the provisions of the money bill. These are all comes the part of money bill. Clearly listen this. There was a question in Civil Services 2020. I'll show you the question also at the end. Only if you understand, you can answer that question, right? So be clear with this. Any bill is a money bill if it is related to the imposition, that means levying, abolition, removing, or remission, reducing, alteration or regulation of any tax. Government has certain taxes, isn't it? Income tax, corporate tax. If any changes in tax that you are taking, the government is taking care, whether to reduce, abolish, or increase the tax, that is called as imposition, abolition, or remission, not increase. Okay, so a regulation or remission or abolition, all these things will be considered as a money bill. Not only that provision, all these provisions will come under money bill only, but I am individually discussing each of the provision. Any changes in taxes will be comes under the money bill. And the second provision is regulation and borrowing of money or giving of any guarantee by government. For example, you are a friend and you are guaranteeing, you are a friend of some other person, you are guaranteeing him for the bank loan. If he gets default, then I will be the surety. So I will pay you the money. So government, if they are making surety, for example, Sri Lanka government is giving some money in terms of loan and it will guarantee itself that we will pay back. We will collect from Sri Lanka government and we will pay back to the Consolidated Fund of India. So government is giving surety from this side. So if such provision or borrowing of money from the Consolidated Fund of India, it will also be part of the money bill. So first we have seen the taxes related, then permission to take money or guaranteeing government itself to some other person or some other country. That is also under the money bill itself. Then custody of Consolidated Fund of India and Contingency Fund of India. So Consolidated Fund of India means we have already seen whatever the money government is getting, it will go in the Consolidated Fund of India. Similarly, there is one more fund. Actually, two more funds are there, Public Fund of India as well as Contingency Fund of India. Contingency Fund of India, contingency means any emergency. So there was a separate fund created under the President office. So President is, this fund is under the President. Okay, very important. So there was a fund created under the President. So whenever government want to take, they can take money. So they no need to take any permission from the Parliament. For Consolidated Fund of India, they need to take permission to take money. But from Contingency Fund of India, they no need to take permission from the Parliament. They can directly take. They here means government. So the custody means the ownership of Consolidated Fund of India and Contingency of Fund of India and payments taking from this accounts. Not allocation, but just to take withdrawal of any money from this contingency as well as Consolidated Fund. That is also be considered as a money bill. This third provision is also be considered as a money bill. And then appropriation of money. Taking money is different, appropriation of money is different. Taking is just taking out of that fund, but after taking you will distribute to different ministries. That is called as an appropriation. If you observe here, there is a taking money from two funds, Consolidated Fund of India and Contingency Fund of India. This is money bill just by taking. But here appropriation is only for Consolidated Fund of India. So if you are taking money from Consolidated Fund of India and then redistributing it, it is a money bill. But if you are taking money from Contingency Fund of India, that is money bill only. But after taking it, if you are allocating to different ministry or whatever you are allocating, that is not a money bill. Appropriation means distribution of Consolidated Fund of India is only money bill, not the Contingency Fund of India fund which is allocating. Only taking is money bill but not the allocation from Contingency Fund of India. This difference has to be understood. The question that I am going to show you is from here itself. Okay. Next, declaring of any expenditure to be uncharged expenditure. See, there is a term in Article 113. Article 113, charged expenditure. Charged expenditure here means money that is taken from Consolidated Fund of India. I am repeating again. Money that is taken from Consolidated Fund of India to give salaries to Supreme Court judges or Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Election Commission of India. They are all neutral offices, right? So Supreme Court judges, all these are neutral offices. They are not the government support officers or opposition. They are neutral. They are most important thing. So to pay salaries for these offices, you no need to, or government no need to take any permission from Parliament. Generally, whatever the money that government is taking from Consolidated Fund of India has to take permission. But for this charged expenditure, which is just salaries and allowance to the important offices, they no need to take permission. They can just inform the Parliament, no need to bring any law. They can take money from Consolidated Fund of India and directly give it to the offices. That is mentioned in the Article 113. That is also be termed as a money bill. Whatever the permission that you are taking, that is also for allocating the salaries to the Chief Justice and other important officers. That is also be considered as a money bill, right? So that is the other provision. And then receipt of money on account of Consolidated Fund of India. So not only expenditure, but whatever you are receiving the money from various sources in terms of taxes, in terms of fines, or in terms of pension funds, you will receive a lot of funds. Government will receive a lot of funds. Those are also be considered as a money bill. Any changes related to that also be considered as a money bill. And then any other incidentals related to the above discussions. We have seen 5-6 provisions mentioned in Article 110. So anything related to this will be considered as a money bill, right? So any doubts in this? Okay. So we have discussed what actually is a money bill, right? Now there is still more discussion. That's why I am telling you the money bill is very, we are discussing it in depth. So we have seen what actually is a money bill. We have seen the provisions. Now let's understand the procedure to pass the money bill. So government want to take permission, isn't it? Right? So they need to pass the money bill. Let's understand the process for it. That is also important for our exam. Whenever government want to pass the money bill, to take money, the president has to recommend it. President has to recommend the Parliament before government is taking the permission. He has to inform to the Lok Sabha, right? Only with the recommendation of the president. Only when president comes and said that yes, government want to take this fund, I am giving the permission, right? So president has to give the permission. Why? Because if there is no checks and balances, if president permission is not required, government will take money immediately and they will spend, then there may be some dispute. So there is a president. First, the president has to inform the Parliament so that everyone will know, even opposition members in the Parliament will know that government is going to take the money. Even before taking it, it is giving a sign to the Parliament that government is going to take the money. So president, prior recommendation of the president is necessary, right? That is the first condition that before passing the money bill, the first condition is president has to give the recommendation to the Parliament, right? Or the government, we can say. So money bills are considered as a government bills. So they are only government can take the money. Opposition members cannot take the money from Consolidated Fund of India. Only government can take. So on part of government, it should be introduced by a minister. No opposition members can be introduced. There are two type of members in the parliament. One is government members, that are ministers. All the ministers are considered as a government, because government is nothing but cabinet or council of ministers. Other than minister, even the members of the party who are not holding the ministries will be part of private members. Private members. Only the cabinet minister, the council of ministers are government members. Rest of all are called as private members. Opposition MPs as well as the members of the party who is in government but they are not holding any ministry. Those are also called as private members. So these private members cannot introduce the bill. Only minister has to introduce the bill in the parliament, right? So that is the important provision. First they have taken recommendation of the president and then minister has introduced the bill before the Lok Sabha that we are going to take the money after president recommendation. Rajya Sabha here will have a limited powers. Why? Because the members of Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people, right? So that's why in democracy, the people who are elected directly by the people will have more powers. Rajya Sabha members are indirectly elected by the assembly or MLAs from different states. So that's why the money which government is going to take has more power to Lok Sabha, and Rajya Sabha will just have a suggestion. There is no mandatory. So Lok Sabha will pass a bill with the government or the member support, and then they will pass to Rajya Sabha. They will give 14 days time that okay, you look into the money bill. This is our proposal. If you want to give some suggestions, you give the suggestions, and Lok Sabha can either accept those recommendations or they can discard them. Rajya Sabha has given some recommendation to change in the money bill, but that is not necessary for Lok Sabha to consider. They can discard or they can include suggestions, and within 14 days, if Rajya Sabha won't give any permission, they have just kept quiet, still government can take the bill and pass it to the president to accept the bill, right? So Rajya Sabha has a very limited role. For 14 days they can give only suggestions but not the mandate, right? So this also we have discussed, and then they can give it to the president. Finally the recommendations, the assent will be given by the president and the bill will be passed in the parliament. That is the process you need to understand, and based on the understanding they will frame the questions, right? So I hope you are following it. The next important provision, one more notable feature you can say, what is the context we have taken? Supreme Court is going to take care of what is money bill in the next coming days. So here it is the one important provision that need to understand. If there is any doubt, because Constitution itself has clearly said that under Article 110, the provisions has given, these are all the money bills. Also Constitution has added one more provision under Article 110 that if there is any doubt whether the bill is money bill or the general bill, ordinary bill or any other finance bill, the decision of speaker is final. Speaker means Lok Sabha speaker. If there is any dilemma whether the bill is money bill or not, the final decision is with speaker. Of course Supreme Court will check whether the decision taken by speaker is correct or not, but Article 110 itself clearly mentioned that the decision taken by the speaker will be final in case of money bill, right? So these are all the important provisions about the money bill we have discussed. What is money bill? What are the provisions to be involved in the money bill that is mentioned in the Article 110? We have clearly discussed, and we have also seen the procedure to be followed to pass the money bill, right? Now we are moving into the finance bills. This is not actually the context, but I am taking it intentionally because many of the students are confused with the finance bills. They are not able to understand what money bill is, what finance bill, type 1, type 2. So there is a lot of confusion. You need to understand this. That's why I have added here. So let's understand. Finance bill is a broader one. You can see this is a Venn diagram. This is a small circle. This is a small circle and this is a big circle. So here finance bill is any bill that related to the all financial matters, not only Article 110. Article 110 only defines certain financial matters and told them that this is a money bill. So financial bill is a broader one, the bigger one. All the finances will be included. But Money bill is a small part of finance bill. So that's why we have a small circle inside the finance bills. So money bill is a part or subset of finance bill, right? So I will tell you one statement, you comment whether it is true or not. All money bills are financial bills, and not all financial bills are money bills. Will you agree? All the money bills are nothing but finance bills, but not all finance bills are money bills, right? So these part of financial matters are not part of money bill, but all the money bill is within finance bill, right? So is that clear between finance bill and money bill? Right? I hope you are following it. If you are not able to understand, please comment there, right? So that is to be understood. But now Constitution has also given 3 type of total financial bills, as I was telling. Money bills under Article 110, financial bill type 1 under Article 117(1). See here, type 1. These 2 are financial bills only, but within finance bill again there are 2 types. I will tell you, don't worry, what is the difference. Finance bill type 2 is under Article 117(3). These articles also need to be remembered for the exam. Money bills, financial bill type 1, financial bill type 2. Okay. Now, what constitutes the financial bill type 1? We have said that financial bill is a broader criteria, bigger one than money bill. But there is also 2 types of financial bills. Financial bill type 1 and type 2. Now let's understand this. Financial bill, so this is a money bill, you can say money bill, so mentioned under Article 110. Now financial bill type 1, I am keeping it as a financial bill, okay, FB 1. In this there are certain provisions of money bill related one, means whatever the provisions under mentioned in the Article 110 are included. And not only that matters, there are other matters also, other financial matters not mentioned in the Article 110, right? So there is a small part of money bill provisions along with some other provisions beyond Article 110 provisions. This is called as financial bill type 1. Okay, there are some part of money bill plus some other matters. Now there is one more bill of finance bill type 2. In this, if you see, there is no touch of this circle to this. That means what? Article 110 provisions are completely absent in financial bill type 2. There are provisions related to the financial bill because this is the common area. So there can be financial matters related to the financial bill 1 and also some other matters related to the finances, right? So this financial bill type 2 is, they don't have any money bill. They don't have any money bill provisions, and only other financial matters are there beyond Article 110. And in financial bill type 1 there are some other type, but also included some provisions of Article 110. So this is the financial bill type 2. So I hope you are following it. Very, very important thing to be understood between money bill and then financial bill and then financial bill type 1 and then financial bill type 2. So here there are provisions which are related only financial matters only those which are not part of 110, that is financial bill type 2, right? So I hope this is clear. Now moving to the differences, so we have come to the last slide of this bill, so we will move to the next factual only. It just takes 15 minutes, we can easily complete, but this is very important provision, that's why we are exhaustively discussing. So money bill, financial bill type 1, financial bill type 2. Here there are certain differences. Who can initiate this bill? We have seen money bills, because money is related to, the most important thing for government is money only. So as the Lok Sabha is directly elected by the people, the money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. And then financial bill type 1 is also can be only introduced in Lok Sabha. Why? Someone has to tell here. So you can keep, keep the comment, right? So why there is only introduced in Lok Sabha? Because in this bill there are provisions of Article 110, that is money bill provisions are there plus other matters are there. So as the money matters of money bill is included in the financial bill type 1, that's why only Lok Sabha can introduce the bill. But in financial bill, there is no provision of Article 110. That is, money bill provisions are completely absent in financial bill. But there are financial matters other than Article 110. Here, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha can be introduced. Only money bill provisions, anything involved will be handled by Lok Sabha. Okay, so that is important. And then who can introduce these bills? Both financial bills as well as money bill can only be introduced by minister, because there is a reason for it. Any finances can only be handled by the government member. So minister is the government member. So only the minister can introduce these bills. Next, role of upper house, that is Rajya Sabha, related to the money bill. So as I said, for money bill, Rajya Sabha does not have powers too much, only that they can give suggestions within 14 days, right? But here, in financial bill type 1 as well as type 2, they can reject as well, because there are provisions beyond 110. There are not only money bill provisions, there are some other provisions also related to the finances. That's why the members of Rajya Sabha who are not directly elected also involved here. In both financial bill type 1 and type 2, Rajya Sabha can reject the bill. Next, role of speaker. So he or she is the final authority to decide the money bill. What constitutes the money bill? Whether this bill is money bill or not is completely with the discretion of the speaker. But this is not the case of the other bills, financial bill type 1 and type 2, because they include the other provisions as well. And then purpose of the bill clearly mentioned in the Article 110, right? So 110 plus general legislation, some other matters related to the finances and finances other than Article 110. So we have already discussed this types in the diagram. Next, majority required, simple majority, half of the members present and voting. So if they want to pass the bill, half of the members of the house, that is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, simple majority is sufficient to pass. Next, role of president. Here, prior recommendation. First thing when they are passing the money bill is to prior recommendation of the president, that we have seen in the process. So prior permission of the president is required for this, as well as in the finance bill type 1. So because money matters are there, that's why president prior recommendation is required in money bill as well as financial bill type 1. In this, not required. President permission is not required. Directly Lok Sabha can introduce. And then if there is a deadlock, there is a disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no required of joint sitting in money bill, because that is exclusive domain of Lok Sabha. In other things, as the other matters included, Rajya Sabha role also important. So if there is a disagreement, there can be a joint sitting. That is about the money bill. So we have discussed very exhaustively about money bill and then financial bill type 1 and type 2. You can see a lot of questions on them, so try to understand them. We have a video, so you can, even if you are not clear exactly, you can watch it again and then you can clear with it. Next, Article 142 of Indian Constitution. Article 142 of Indian Constitution. So why it is there in news? You all know in the first page itself, recently the mayor of Chandigarh, that is Union Territory, was declared by the Supreme Court that a person from Aam Aadmi Party is the winner. Aam Aadmi and Congress candidate together, they have filed, and it has declared that the mayor is from these parties. Usually who will decide the winners? The election commission will be there, right? Election commission, the role of election commission and then returning officer, so these roles are there. So here Supreme Court will minimally include in the elections and all, right? This is not their duty. But this is an extraordinary case under Article 142. They said that they have used. So we will see what actually is Article 142. So they have used the greatest power in the Constitution for Supreme Court. See, there are three domains of the democracy. One is judiciary, right? And then executive and then legislature. And the most trusted organization is not government, not parliament, but the judiciary, that is Supreme Court. That's why Constitution has given one important provision under Article 142. If you feel, you here means Supreme Court, if you feel, the Supreme Court, that there is an injustice happened in any part of India, right? You take the most important step. You pronounce whatever you want to do the complete justice, right? So you can announce anything. whether it is related to the elections, whether it is to the poverty, anything, you just announce that this is, you have to do this thing, right? So this is the most important power to Supreme Court, that they can pronounce anything to do the complete justice in the Indian subcontinent. So the same case, what has happened here, there was a person, a returning officer, that is IAS officer only, he has dismantled 8 ballots. 8 ballots who has voted, they have dismantled them, or you can say they have excluded them from the counting, so that these 8 ballots were actually supporting to this party. The votes that they got is more towards this candidate, but returning officer indirectly supporting the government who is contesting from BJP. So he was supporting, he has dismantled 8 ballots. That was recorded in the CC camera. So it was put in front of the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has seen this, and they have pronounced very harshly that this is completely against the democracy. You have dismantled the basic principles of the democracy. They have pronounced, and finally they have announced that the candidate, even without counting, they have used the discretion under Article 142 to give the pronouncement that this person has won the elections. The person from Aam Aadmi Party has declared as a winner, right? Even without counting, because the power was given by Article 142. So we have seen this provision. Also, whatever the Supreme Court has pronounced under Article 142, in any judgment, it is applicable throughout India. It is not just in one place. It is applicable to throughout India. That is one important provision. And also, after Supreme Court provision, Parliament can make law related to that, right? So for example, in highways, alcohol ban was there. A few years back, Supreme Court has pronounced. So the Parliament will bring such a law related to that, because any implementation in the country has to come from the Parliament. That is the separation of powers. Judiciary, though they pronounce, it has to be implemented by the Parliament only. Okay. So after Supreme Court pronouncement, the same matter has to be brought by the Parliament to pass a law related to that. And until such law is put forward to the Parliament, President will mention the manner to be implemented. Okay. So this is also important provision to be understood. So this is about the Article 142, and there are some past pronouncement. I am just giving you examples in previously how Supreme Court used Article 142 to do the complete justice. Bhopal gas tragedy, you all know this, which has happened in way back in 1984, right? So there was a chemical disaster. So that time they have pronounced that the company involved here has to give $470 million to the people. Similarly, Babri Masjid demolition case, you all know that the Babri Masjid demolition case was pronounced. Supreme Court has said for formation of trust to construct the Ram Mandir at the site of Masjid demolition site. So this is also discretion of the Supreme Court to do the complete justice. Similarly, liquor sale ban on highways, Supreme Court should not pronounce usually, right? So it is the prerogative or the domain of government or Parliament. But whenever there is a such pronouncement, Supreme Court feel that there is a need to be do justice. So they have also banned the alcohol across the highways few years before. These are all the some examples or instances where Supreme Court has used Article 142 to do complete justice to the public, right? So that is about the provision. Any doubts in this? Okay. Now let's move to the next article, very factual in nature, Skill India Center. Yesterday, Ministry of Education as well as Skill Development Minister, Sri Dharmendra Pradhanji, right? He is having 2 ministries in his hand. So country's first Skill India Center, India's first Skill India Center has launched in Sambalpur in Odisha. So first Skill India Center in India was launched in Sambalpur, Odisha. That's why we have taken this article. This fact itself will become important. Now, what is Skill India Center? Generally, you understand in the Indian scenario, even for yourself, have you learnt the practical education during your graduation? Whenever you are doing BTech or any other courses, our knowledge is based on theoretical knowledge, isn't it? I can say it very frankly that I have done my masters in very National Institute of Technology, that is NIT, but still we have learnt only the theoretical knowledge. The practical knowledge was not completely made to learn with the industry connection, right? So in the general case, even NITs, IITs are not following the practical knowledge. Why will follow the other small colleges, isn't it? So practical knowledge is very, very important, so that we learn the skills and we contribute for the employment. We can get employment easily when we have that skills, right? So with the objective of developing the skills among the public, the government has launched Skill India Center. So they are going to launch it in many regions in India. There will be certain skills kept at single place, right? So there will be skills related to the software, skills related to the manufacturing, all the provisions related to any particular activity will be there. So we will learn practically what is happening in the industries at a local level, so that we will go and work there efficiently. So India will develop such type of skilled persons, and we can generate lot of goods which will again contribute for our exports, and we will get foreign exchange. So that's how India can generate more growth. That is the objective of the Skill India Center. Okay, at one place there will be specific skill lessons. It will have a classroom, both theoretical as well as practical knowledge. Government is going to launch across India. Okay, so that is the Skill India Center. It will have a blend of working class, working based learning as well as the classroom based learning, and this is going to be handled by National Skill Development Corporation. Already there is a corporation, non-profit organization under Ministry of Skill Development. There is already a body. This body is going to take care of the implementation. That will be asked in the exam. Now we need to know what is National Skill Development Corporation also, because this is going to handle the scheme, right? So here NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, is a public-private partnership. That means government along with the support of private corporates is handling this. It was launched in 2009 as a non-profit organization. They are not going to take any money from public. It is going to be a free service, non-profit. They are going to support the persons who want to learn the skills, right? So this is about the NSDC, and in that government is holding 49% share. As I said, this is a public-private partnership. So 49% of capital is handled by government, right? And rest of the thing is handled by private. There are a number of private players. They are also invested in this, right? So it aims to promote skill development across the Indian youth by providing the training sessions. That is the objective. Any doubts in this? Okay, let's move ahead to the next and the last final article for today. National Film Awards. They haven't announced for this year National Film Awards. Then why we have taken this article? We have taken this. There were certain changes made under National Film Awards. We have number of awards, Padma Awards, and then there's a lot of things, right? Civilian awards of military honor. There are more, so you keep up seeing those things in the exam. Similarly, we have awards for films also to encourage the actors. So this awards has gone significant changes last week. That was reported by the Indian Express today, right? So the committee headed by Neeraj Sekhar. They may ask this also. Neeraj Sekhar committee was recently in news for what? They have suggested changes in the National Film Awards. We will see what are all the changes that they have suggested. But before that, let's understand what are National Film Awards. They are the awards encouragement given to the actors for the cinema for their outstanding contribution, right? So whoever is contributing for Indian cinema, so they are going to award those persons, and it is the country's top cinematic honor. So we have civilian awards, we have service awards. Similarly, in cinema, these are the highest awards, which were established in 1954. If you could able to recall, Padma Awards were also, the Padma Vibhushan or the Bharat Ratna, they are all instituted in 1954 itself. The same year, these awards were instituted. And who will give these awards? Director of Film Festivals. There was organization, but now it was dismantled. We will see in the next slide. So this was the Director of Film Festival, an organization established in 1973. They were responsible to conduct the honors. So every year they will conduct the session, and then they will give awards to the persons, and the awards are presented by President itself. Only the event is conducted by the body, but final presentation is given by President itself, right? So these are the categories. You don't need to remember now. Let's once the awards are announced, then you can remember, but just understand the categories. Swarna Kamal is the highest category. Golden Lotus Award, first highest category. Next is Rajat Kamal or Silver Lotus. So now here it is Golden Lotus, here Silver Lotus. This is the second category. Under this, Best Director, Best Film, you don't need to worry about it, just to make you understand. Best Feature Film in Languages of Schedule 8. In Schedule 8 we have 22 languages, right? So this is one more provision, the third category. And then fourth category is Best Feature Film specified in languages of other than 8 schedules. So only 22 languages are there. Other languages also we need to give awards. So these are the hierarchy of the awards. So just remember the hierarchy, that's all. You don't need to worry about these things, right? So also one more important provision, Dada Saheb Phalke Award, which is the highest honor of related to the cinema. Dada Saheb Phalke Award is also given through the national film festivals, right? So this also be given along with the national film festivals. Now, Director of Film Festivals, this is the organization which is conducting the session every year, isn't it? So it was established under Ministry of Communication in 1973. They organize the national and international festivals, including the film festivals. You don't need to worry about, because in 2022, that is last before year, government has dismantled this body, Director of Film Festival, and they have made a single one. This you need to remember, National Film Development Corporation. This is the body where they have merged all the film related ones. Director of Film Festivals, National Film Archives of India, Children's Film Society, all these were merged, dismantled and merged under National Film Development Corporation. So this is the body currently which is responsible to conduct the National Film Festival Awards. Very important to remember. This Director of Film Festival was dismantled now in 2022. Okay. Now we have seen what is National Film Festivals. You need to understand what changes government has brought. That is also very important. What changes the government has brought in the recent time. Last week they have removed the Indira Gandhi Award for Best Debut Film of Director. I hope you understand it, what is the rationale behind it. I am not going to discuss about the politics. So there was already award, Indira Gandhi Award for Best Debut Film of Director, right? They have changed it to Best Debut Film of Director, that's all. They have removed the name of Indira Gandhi, the former Prime Minister, right? So they have changed to Best Debut Film of Director. And one more thing, earlier we had an award, Narjis Dutt Award for Best Feature Film on National Integration. Narjis Dutt was also a previous actor and also a politician, okay, from Congress party of course. So they have removed this Narjis Dutt and they have changed this award to Best Feature Film Promoting National, Social and Environmental Values. This is the second change that was made. Also, for Dada Saheb Phalke Award, they were giving 10 lakhs, whoever has won this award. Now it was changed to 15 lakhs, very, very important to remember. It was changed to 15 lakhs. Next, Swarna Kamal, we already have seen this, right? The categories, the highest category is Swarna Kamal followed by silver, right? So this was also money they were receiving around 3 lakhs. Earlier it was 2 lakhs, now it was changed to 3 lakhs. So the highest hierarchy after Dada Saheb Phalke, they have given 15 lakhs. Now it was they are going to give 3 lakhs in place of 2 lakhs, which was earlier giving. Now Best Animation Film and Best Special Effects have been clubbed. Earlier there were two different awards, Best Animation Film and then Best Special Effects Film. Both were merged and categorized as Best AVGC. Remember this, Best AVGC, Animation, Visual Effects, Gaming and Comics. They have merged these things and they have introduced the new award. And then final change, the award Best Feature Film of each of the languages specified in the Schedule 8, that is 22 languages of the Constitution, has been renamed as Best Name of the Language Feature Film. These things you need to remember. Of course, they are factual in nature, but yes, they may ask in the exam. So these are the changes that has been brought. So that is all for today's detailed discussion. Now we will see some facts which are relevant for our exam. Shashi Tharoor, Congress MP from Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, was awarded the highest civilian honor of France. Okay, so I'm not pronouncing this because this is in French, right? So just try to remember. Some Chevalier de la Legion Honor. So this is the award, highest award given by France, and Shashi Tharoor has received this award. So very important fact if you are writing the lower level of exams, right, like state PSCs. Who has got this award, something like that they may ask. Next important fact, 11th International Puppet Festival. So puppets you know, right? There are different leather puppetry, yam or dum puppetry. So there are different categories of puppetry. So 11th International Puppet Festival is happening in Chandigarh. Important, right? So it highlights the rich culture of India's puppet theatre. That is the fact. Last fact, February 20 every year we are celebrating as World Day of Social Justice. February 20 we are celebrating World Day of Social Justice, and the theme is Bridging Gaps, Building Alliance. Bridging gaps and building alliance. So these facts will be sufficient for our exam. What is World Day of Social Justice? Just to promote the equality, and then when they are celebrating 20th February, what is theme? That will be sufficient for our exam, right? So this is the today's session. Sir, I am a BTech third year. I want to appear for UPSC CSE. Could you please suggest your experience that how do I start? Yes, Abhishek Gurram, we are going to come up with a separate video. We are already planning it. That we will have a separate detailed session for the beginners. How to start, how to read, what to be done, right? What type of preparation has to be done. So everything we are going to have a detailed discussion. We are going to release a video. Obviously, it will be more than half an hour or more than approximately 1 hour. We will be coming up with session. No need to worry. Okay. So we will see the questions for today. We have seen lot of discussion. Now we will practice. This is asked in 2018 Civil Services Prelims. Of course, the same type of questions are asked in all the exams. Let's see who will answer this. Okay. First question or first statement. A bill shall be deemed to be a money bill if it contains only provisions related to the imposition, abolition, remission, alternation or regulation of any tax. So any provisions of this thing mentioned is considered as a bill. They are asking not correct. Okay, understand, not correct. So is this a money bill? Let's wait for the discussion. They are saying whatever the provisions related to this thing, money bill or tax related one, is considered as a money bill. First thing. A money bill has provisions for the custody of Consolidated Fund of India or Contingency Fund of India. So any custody related to Contingency Fund of India or Consolidated Fund of India is nothing but a money bill. That's what they are saying. Third one, a money bill is concerned with the appropriation of money out of Contingency Fund of India, distribution of money from contingency. So here they are saying only taken, but it is appropriation, allocation. This is considered as a money bill they are saying. The final one, a money bill deals with the regulation of borrowing of money or giving of any guarantee by Government of India. Any money bill that you are borrowing money from Consolidated Fund of India, or if you are guaranteeing, then it is considered as a money bill. So they are asking which one is not correct. Any answer from your side? I'm waiting for your answer. That's what I specifically discussed the provisions of Article 110. If you are not confident, go back and listen it again. Many students, they will give up. They just need to, they will know what is money bill, but they will ignore the provisions of the money bill, but you will lose 2 or whatever the marks that you are going to get from money bill, right? So yes, anything related to the tax is correct. This statement is correct. Anything related to the changes in tax will be part of money bill. Money bills has provisions related to the custody of contingency fund as well as consolidated fund. We have seen this as well. Just custody by taking money. This is also considered as a money bill. Now, appropriation, allocation of money from Contingency Fund of India, from Consolidated Fund of India, yes, it is a money bill. Contingency Fund of India, you just taking money is a money bill, but not allocation. Allocation is not a money bill. That is execute. You can take whatever the decision. So this statement is wrong, and this statement, yes, it is correct. So they are asking not correct. Answer is C. Right? So if you are not very confident about this, go back to the session that we have discussed and try to listen again, very, very important. This is again asked in civil service only, but yes, very, very easy. With reference to Constitution of India, prohibition or limitations or provisions contained in ordinary laws cannot act as a prohibition or limitation on constitutional provisions under Article 142. They are saying that whatever the laws that is existing in India, whatever the provisions that is existing in India is not a limitation on Article 142. So they are saying it could mean what? What does that mean? Though no law is limitation on the Article 142. So what does that mean? The decisions taken by Election Commission of India while discharging its duties cannot be challenged by any court of law. The Election Commission, we have seen, it is related to the what? Supreme Court. It is eliminated, not related to the Election Commission. Next, Supreme Court of India is not constrained in the exercise of its powers by laws made by the Parliament. Yes, isn't it? Article 142 is the most important power of Supreme Court, that they want to give the powers to Supreme Court to whatever announced. So this seems to be correct. Let's see the few more. In the event of grave financial crisis in the country, President of India can declare financial emergency. No, Article 142 is not related to the financial emergency. Eliminate. State legislatures cannot make any laws in certain matters of concurrence list in union legislature. No, it is related to the Supreme Court power. So answer is very direct, even though question seems to be difficult, but options are very easy. Answer is B. Next question, this is very direct question, and at least I hope you will answer this question. The first Skill India Center of the country was recently inaugurated in. So in which state they have inaugurated the first Skill India Center? Anyone? Very direct question. So answer is D, Delhi, Odisha, right? So answer is Odisha. Next, which of the following statements are correct with regard to the forests in India? So we have discussed the forest exhaustively, Forest Act of 1980. So they are asking what are the statements correct regarding to the forests in India. They are defined under provisions of Forest Act 1980. So they are saying that forests are defined under Forest Act 1980. Forest area of India currently stands at 33% of total geographical area. We did not discuss, but you can expect forest of India is currently stands at 33%, they are saying. Okay, the recent data. Third one, Madhya Pradesh has the largest forest cover in India. See, even though I did not discuss, there is a logic in this. Okay, so that's why I'm taking this. We have discussed these things. So you need to find the logic from it. First statement is wrong. Why? I have said there is no definition of forest in the Indian statute till now. So first statement is wrong. We have discussed this. Two options are eliminated. Now 3 is correct obviously. So you no need to worry about the third statement. There is 3 in both the options. Madhya Pradesh has largest forest cover. Even you don't know, but there are eliminated the 2 options. Now the importance is the second statement. This is how the elimination techniques work. You cannot answer the questions without basic knowledge. Of course, you should have a basic knowledge. Forest area India currently stands at 33%. Wrong. The target itself is to achieve 33%. Our forest area stands at around 22%. This is the target kept by Indian government to achieve it. So this is also wrong. Answer is B, 3 only. That's how you need to find the logic. You need to observe the content and you need to know that was the actual target that was kept by Indian government. Last question. The National Film Awards are currently organized by. So at present, who will organize the National Film Awards? National Film Development Corporation, Director of Film Festivals, National Film Archive of India, Niti Aayog. I have said there was a merger recently that has happened, right? So this and this are merged into this, right? So National Film Development Corporation is the authority which announced the national film festivals, right? So this is about today's session. We have had a very good discussion on money bills, Forest Act and Article 142, and rest of the articles are factual in nature, of course. But anyway, you need to know the facts as well, not only the issues for the exam. I hope the session was very useful, and if you are not very confident about money bill thing, try to understand again, because that is very, very important for all the exams, right? So thanks a lot for the support that you are showing, and keep subscribing and keep sharing with your friends. Thanks a lot.